my aunt kept us split in, so I'm probably going to should add it in this season. But there's a barber shop there.
What did they mess up? Like, what did they mess up with guys here? One of the girls had a car, so we all just
That one was showing me a kid earlier.
Hey everyone, welcome. This mic's definitely on. It definitely works. Welcome. Are you excited to be at UAF? That's great. So this is your Professor's Perspective panel, and we're here for the next 40 minutes or so, 35 minutes or so, really to answer your questions. So please come up with some questions to ask, all right? It's a big room, but we can hear you, even in the back. Come up with some questions because we have some very esteemed faculty with us this afternoon. We're very lucky to have these folks on stage with us, and we're just excited to engage with you and to learn more about what your questions are and to address those, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have just a quick round of introductions so that you know who's up here, and then we're just gonna open it up for your questions, all right? So I guess I'll start. I'm your MC. I'm Dr. Alex Hirsch. I'm the director of the Honors College. I'm also a professor in the political science department. My journey to UAF. So I'm not from here originally. I'm from Boston. Anyone here from out of state? Raise your hand if you're from out of state. Awesome. Welcome. Anyone from the East Coast? Okay, my people. Actually, I very much feel like an Alaskan now. I've lived here 12 years. But I'm part of the diaspora community from the East Coast, the growing diaspora of East Coasters in Alaska. And I'll just say that before I came here, I taught at a number of institutions. I taught at Northeastern University in Boston. I taught at the University of California, Irvine, a few other places. There is no place like UAF. I mean, this place really is unparalleled in many different senses. And so I'm excited for you coming here, being here. I hope that you learn about the unique opportunity landscape that UAF has to offer quickly so that you can access some truly world-scale, amazing opportunities. So that's just a little bit about myself. Let me pass it off to my friend, Andres.
Thanks, Alex. My name is Andres Lopez. I'm originally from Colombia. I came to UAF through a very long, convoluted trip around the country, getting different kinds of degrees. My affiliation at the university is in the fisheries department. I teach about fish biology, fish genetics, and genetics in general. And yeah, like Alex said, this is a unique place. Me and my family have lived here in Fairbanks for 14 years now, and we love it, and we are looking forward to the new class of students coming in and getting to know you guys, and hopefully have you in our classes and in our labs, learning weird techniques that we use for understanding how fish work in this particular beautiful place. Yeah, so looking forward to answering all of your questions, whether it's about classwork or research or living in Fairbanks, whatever you think, whatever question is burning your mind, we're happy to answer those.
I'm Denise Kind. I'm a faculty member in the Biology and Wildlife Department, and I also was at the University of California, Irvine for a while, which I didn't realize we had that connection. So I'm originally from the Midwest, and I'm a first-generation college student, and actually sort of thought about dropping out of high school and then decided to go to college and really fell in love with learning stuff and went on to do a PhD and ended up here about 21 years ago now, and my family's grown up here. My daughter is a student here as well, and it's a really cool place. The opportunities you've got are extraordinary, and so keep an eye out for all those different things and really take advantage of them, because it's a really unusual time where you have the chance to do a lot of things that you won't have a chance to do again later on.
Hello, everyone. My name is Olga Skinner. My Yupik name is Banik, which I also use. I am Yupik. I grew up in the village of Gwichshuk, which is out in southwestern Alaska, and I also grew up here in Fairbanks. I went back and forth quite a bit. I currently work for the School of Education, and my path began down this hill here to college at the West Valley High School. That's where I attended school. And so my introduction to UAF was actually a lot of times just walking up the hill after school to work up at the museum where I had my first job. So I kind of had an orientation that way and through Rural Student Services. And I've really received a lot of support throughout the years. I've been here through my bachelor's degree, master's, and PhD. And my experience here has been incredibly valuable, and I'm so happy to see you all here. Goiana.
Hey, students, can I get a hell yes? Hell yes to faculty, to students, to the start of the 2022-23 academic year. I am Amy May. I am a faculty member in communication and journalism. I am also the director of the Public Speaking Center, and I also coordinate the minor for Women, Gender, Sexuality Studies. And my journey here started in 2015 as a military spouse, and I kinda never left. So the one thing I will say about UAF is that we are truly a community. And so when I look out and I see all of you, and I'm sitting up here with all of my peers, I cannot begin to express how glad I am to see you and how excited I am for this academic year. So with that, I'll turn it over, but I might cry. But I am just so glad you're here, and let's do it.
She's going to cry because I'm next. I'm actually an imposter. They were trying to fill an empty seat. That's why I'm here, so I'm not really esteemed. My name is Dara. I'm a faculty member in the Foreign Languages and Literatures. Been in Alaska for 30 years now, came up with the Army, went through school on the GI Bill, first-generation college student. I wear many hats in the department. I teach. I am the department chair, and I'm running faculty advising, beginning with college now. Yeah, UAF has been a part of my life basically for 30 years. So I love it here, raise a family here, have one son still in school here, and it's a great place to be.
Okay, so you've met students, you've met staff during NSO. This is the Professor's Perspective panel. So what we want to do now is open it up to your questions and see if you can get a professor's response and a kind of professor's way of seeing here at UAF. If you have a question, just raise your hand. Yes, in the front. And your name.
Hi. We've met before, right? You came to the lab. So go to a lab, go to a professor and ask, do you have any openings? Do you have any opportunities? The easiest way is to just reach out and contact a person that is doing work that you find interesting and just go from there. The university offers a number of opportunities to get research funding, and that's great, but it's not essential. You can get started just visiting with the lab and spending some time there and seeing what kind of work takes place in that lab and getting an idea of whether or not is really what you want to be doing for a long time. Once you answer that question, then you can get more serious about how to build that relationship and spend more time in the lab, maybe go out and seek or develop a specific study that you want to pursue in collaboration with the people in that group. So the easy answer is just reach out. Look through the list of professors, look through our websites, find the people doing what you want to do, and go there and see what happens.
And regardless of your major or what your primary area of focus may be, I really encourage you to think as broad as possible with this thing we call research. The research that Andreas does over in fisheries looks a lot different than the research I do over in the communication discipline, but you're still going to develop some of those fundamental skill sets related to critical analysis, the writing process, getting into the literature, and really thinking about things in a different way. So open yourself up to lots of different research opportunities, and we have funding for it through URSA, which is the undergraduate. Yeah, and I like the acronym. It's a little bit easier. So we've got some funding and some support, and stop by and see me. I've got several research projects, and that's an invitation to all of you, especially if the idea of communication is interesting to you.
I would also add, so you heard a number of us during our introductions talk about unique opportunity landscape here at UAF, right? Undergraduate research is definitely one of them. At a lot of universities, it's more typical that you would have to wait until graduate school to do any kind of research yourself. Here, that's not true. Undergraduates get engaged in research early on if they are interested in doing so, and there are many ways to do that. URSA is a great resource, and it funds undergraduates to do amazing things. You know, sometimes when I use the word research and I'm talking to new students, I feel like they think it's like homework. And it's not. It's about generating knowledge, right? So obviously, a lot of your education here at UAF is going to be about absorbing information and learning new facts and becoming exposed to new sources of knowledge, and all of that is going to be incredibly valuable to you personally and professionally. But at UAF, because we emphasize undergraduate research, you also have the opportunity to create knowledge. And so it's a wise question. I think it's interesting that you're asking that right off the bat. I think it's the right kind of question to ask. Yeah, talking to your faculty, connecting with your faculty early on, lots of doors are going to open for you. And I'm thinking of just the fisheries student, Faye Elmore. Do you know Faye Elmore, who just graduated recently? I mean, she did research all over the state. We have students who travel to research conferences all over the world. So, you know, buckle up. Okay, next question.
Okay, so I should have added that I'm a faculty member in communication and journalism, but I am on the communication side of the house. So I do gender and health primarily. However, I just hosted a faculty, a visiting graduate student from the University of Montana, and she's really interested in science and environmental journalism, which our program is currently leaning toward. And she researched, and the wildlife biology played into this as well, sort of that community beast interaction, studying specifically muskox. So she went and talked with all of the community members to learn their different perspectives. And then we ended with this incredible tour. If you haven't been to the Large Animal Research Satellite yet and checked out the muskox and the reindeer, she was collecting data on kind of the indigenous perspective and indigenous knowledge regarding kiviot, which is a fiber that the muskox produce. So that's all I can give you on journalism, unless some of my peers, but I can hook you up with lots of journalists for sure.
Okay, other questions? Yes.
I think one of the things that comes to my mind is working with student organizations, and this is something I highly encourage you to check out. There are a lot of student organizations on campus. It's a great way to meet up with other students that have similar interests, but not only that, it could lead to other things like travel. When you first asked that question, the image I had in my mind is, you know, taking students to a national conference, and it was amazing to me. It's still a lot of fun for me to just go and observe and just see the connections that students make for future internships. future schooling possibilities, just exploring possibilities for their future. So I encourage you to check that out. The other possibility that could come from getting involved in student organizations is scholarships too. So there could be a lot of great outcomes from that kind. It's just great, socially too, to, get out there and meet other people. So.
One of the things I like to do with students is short-term faculty-led study abroad opportunities on our off years, and students watching their reactions going abroad to any country and getting them excited about doing it for a longer term is just really fun to me. I have not had anybody pickpocketed in Barcelona yet, because I watch you all like a hawk.
So there's a lot of big opportunities and big things you can do, but some of my favorite interactions when I think about them are actually the little everyday interactions that when you're in class with people and you have a chance to talk to them and hear their questions and see how you're thinking and really just dive into the material together. I love that. That's one of the greatest things. Or to have somebody stop by during office hours and say, hey, I read this thing in the news. I think it kind of connects to what we're talking about in class. And you just sit and chat for a while. So look for the big opportunities, but also take a lot of advantage of those little opportunities, because there's a lot to be gained from those daily interactions that you have too. And same thing for study groups. I'm in the Murray building on Upper Campus, and I love walking through the building and seeing all of the people sitting together studying and working on stuff and brainstorming and just talking to each other and enjoying the learning experience.
I think there was a question in the back. Yeah, go ahead.
What's the worst habit when it comes to schoolwork for students?
I expect many of us feel the same, that perhaps one of the most important dynamics of student success is just engagement. So, the students who come to class all the time, they do well because in showing up, they're engaging. I think presence and engagement, I'm reversing your question. I'm doing the inverse. Instead of talking about the worst quality a student could possibly have, I'm going to talk about the best. But yeah, that's what I would say. What about others?
Thinking about good qualities, positive qualities, one thing I would encourage you to do as you start meeting your first classes is don't just look at the deadlines. Look at the deadlines, but also plan out times to work on them so that, it's good for your health too, just to kind of plan those things out, those times out for you to work on different assignments too.
Okay, so the communication professor, what do you think is going to be my answer to a question that is one of the best things that you can do to connect and to engage? It would be to... Yes, thank you. So when students get into trouble, not communicating until it is way late into the semester, we don't always know that there's a problem unless you tell us, or a barrier you've encountered, or support that you needed that we haven't been providing. So for some of the students who really struggle, that activation energy, if we can figure out how to lower it so that they communicate early, communicate often, and communicate in a way that allows us to provide support, those are definitely going to be critically important throughout your academic journey, for sure.
Great question. Yeah, Dad.
So at the last university that I was at, when COVID shut everything down and then things started to reopen, they did a lot to integrate the new communications technology into the classroom. So what sort of things are you and the other professors at UAF doing to kind of bridge missed connection gaps using technology?
Well, as a first step, a lot of our courses are offered both in person and distance. And there are options depending on the course to either be fully on campus and interacting live with the professor, or all the way to completely asynchronous online versions where your interaction with the professor may be just very minimal or reduced to specific meetings online. So we have all sorts of options depending on the course. I teach a lab-based course, so that poses some challenges to the distance-only version, but we make it work. Like we were saying before, communication is key, right? Regardless of the format of the class, as long as you're in constant, frequent, good communication with your instructors, you'll be able to complete your work regardless of where you are.
Were you also asking about like things that were missed during COVID and catching up, or just more about technology?
Sorry, repeat that again?
Were you also asking about like things that might have been missed during COVID that people need to catch up on, or more just tech?
Like one of the things that happened at the university that I was at, they created a system that integrated the in-person classroom with the Zoom environment and the online separate environment and combined the three through one class.
That's going to vary a lot from class to class. So there are some classes that are hybrid that do that sort of integration. There are online lab courses where you have the opportunity to work through things and communicate with the instructor and the TA a lot about the material. And then there are the in-person only. So you really, if you're interested in those sort of the highest flexibility options, do talk to your advisor and talk to the faculty members, and you can find those, but not every class is going to do that because the way courses are structured, it's easier to do with some than others.
Right.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Riker. My question is somewhat unrelated. I just wondered if anyone ever plays that typo thing there.
Is Scott here? Is Scott lurking? Scott Hansen. It is used. I'm looking at my liberal arts colleagues. Do you know about the music department? Dr. Soler is who I would talk to about it. I mean, yeah, the answer is yes. There's a fantastic symphony orchestra that performs here at UAF, and I would highly recommend attending those performances. They are like world-class performances. Actually, we were just talking about this right before the event started. If you get an opportunity to witness a student performance as well, and sometimes those feature the organ, then I would definitely not want to miss those performances. I mean, they are special. Yeah, that's something that we're very proud of in the liberal arts. And if Dr. Soler was here, and she's the chair of the music department, she could probably speak to exactly when and what the schedule looks like. But yeah. Yeah.
Are you a musician? No, I just like typos.
I was gonna say, you should come up and try right now. Yes. From my perspective, sometimes new students come in and they're not used to using email as their primary medium of communication outside of class, but it's important that everyone checks their email. When I speak to my friends at the Advising Center, they say this is their #1 piece of advice to incoming students is to check your email, because sometimes faculty will be communicating information about assignments. Sometimes they'll be communicating information about opportunities or scholarships or something that you really want to not miss out on. And so just making sure that you're checking that inbox regularly. Yeah, others?
I think one of the changes that I kind of have observed in working here at the university between high school and college is I feel like a lot of times when you're in high school, you don't want to be, maybe you don't want to be the person raising your hand and asking questions. But I feel it's so important here at the university, you know, the students that are, you know, ask the questions, and are proactive too about letting your professor know if you have something coming up on your schedule or something like that. That is so helpful. And I think I'll leave it there.
And just as a postscript to my note about email, so checking your email all the time for messages from your professors, but if you send your professor a message, sometimes you should send it again. I mean, don't be afraid and don't be shy about sending it twice. All the professors who I speak to feel the same way about this, that you shouldn't feel shy about nudging if you're looking for a response to a message, because I don't know how many emails that we're missing right now up here on stage. I mean, you know, I get quite a few emails every day, and so sometimes it's useful, and I actually appreciate when a student is willing to kind of nudge and ask for a response a second time. So don't be afraid to do that.
So my point is related to both of those. Don't hesitate reaching out. So I think when you leave high school, maybe you come with the sense that you have the instructors on one side and you're on a different side of the room, but as you make your way through your college career, you should build that sense that these are your colleagues, right? These are people that you should be very, very comfortable reaching out with any question. So don't hold yourself back, ask questions, and if you don't get the answer you want, go to the next person and ask the question again. So I would say just come here to talk to people, not to just take the class and move on.
Just a couple more thoughts. One of the most important documents that you are going to receive that communicates a lot of information to you is known as the syllabus. Read the syllabus. I guarantee you that every single one of us has different policies regarding whether or not we accept late work, different policies regarding being late to class, and other rules that define our learning community. Taking the time to read and invest in that document right at the start of the semester is critical. So much conflict and miscommunication occurs just because sometimes that document is long, and I know you got a lot of them to read and all of those different things, but we really do try to communicate critical information to help you be successful. So read the syllabus would be my first tidbit. And then the second one, question for all of you. How do you perceive office hours?
Time to go talk to your professors, ask questions.
Ooh, I love that answer. Anyone else? When you're open. Ooh, I like that too. So, true story, when I was in grad school, I had this dream that I was gonna hold office hours and all of these students were gonna flood in and we were gonna sit there and commune and talk about communication theory, and that they would just flood I would have students just lined up out the door. Guess how many students actually come to see me every semester? A few to not a lot of action happening in there in terms of communicating and interacting with our students. So my second biggest missed opportunity for communication that all students, as you're starting on your academic journey, do not think about office hours as office hours. Think about office hours as student hours that we have set aside to really do nothing but connect and engage with our students. So use those office hours and invest in building relationships with your professors. Not only is it important in the moment in that class, but the more we get to know you, the more we connect, the more we engage, the more opportunities for research are likely to come up. The more we can help you see how our discipline connects to your overarching academic and professional goals. So come to office hours? Yes? All right.
Good question. All these are excellent questions. I would only add to that, definitely yes to all of the above. Classes are going to start next week. If you have a moment after class in each of your classes next week, hang around afterwards and just introduce yourself to your professor. I mean, some of your classes are going to have 30 students in them. Some of them might have 100 students in them. Some of them might have 7 students in them. Whatever the case may be, whatever the enrollment is, whatever the culture is in that classroom, hang around afterwards and just shake the hand of your instructor and introduce yourself, make a personal connection. And that can be in office hours, but it can also just be right there in the spot. Right? That's a powerful thing. Now there's a connection between the professor that goes beyond the generic, anonymity. Sometimes students can feel anonymous, especially in a big class. If you can render that into a more personal connection, it just does wonders, both for you and for the professor who's eager to know who you are so that they can help you to learn all the better. Okay, I think we have time for one or two more, Logan. I hope so. In the back.
What do you recommend new students do to help them build confidence?
Great question.
So I relate to that question because I came into college and I came into this career with just a complete lack of confidence. One of the things that I would suggest is recognizing that you are bringing something important and unique and valuable to every class you're in, and your instructors want to help nurture that. So when you go in, if you've got a question, don't come in with this is a really stupid question, but you have a good question. You have something that you want to know or something that you want clarified. And if you knew what everybody else in the class was thinking, everybody else in the class is in the same boat, doubting themselves, wondering if they have a good question or a stupid question. So ask. If you're too worried to ask during class, send an email. Start by just reaching out in whatever way you feel most comfortable to start building your confidence. And every once in a while, you might hit somebody who kind of brushes you off, but don't let that get to you. Even professors have bad days, and sometimes it's just that we're having a crummy day and we didn't really realize that it was a serious, important question. So come back at us, give us a second chance, but start by just asking things, meeting people, talking to people in whatever is your comfort zone or your most comfortable way of doing that. And you'll find that you'll get positive feedback most of the time, and that really helps to build the confidence too.
I love that. I would only add, in the next few weeks, it's going to be important to find a community in particular, right? Within the next 3 weeks, I think you want to find who your people are, right? Where are they and who are they? And, you might meet people through joining a club. You might meet people through a residence hall. You might meet people through your major, right? There's a lot of different ways to do that. And so just look for opportunities to engage, look for opportunities to access social cohort. Social cohort's a big deal. If you're surrounded by people who are like-minded and whom you share values with, it's gonna be a big deal for your success, not just as a student, but as a person in general, right? In other words, it's gonna be really important for you to feel like you belong. It's something that UAF thinks about a lot. It's something that we care about a lot. It's something that we do a lot. So look for those open doors and walk through them. Anyone else?
And I'll just add one more comment to that. Imposter phenomenon or imposter syndrome is real. We talk about it a lot and theorize about it in the communication discipline. Communication anxiety is real, and students experience it, but professors experience it too. I am so nervous the start of the semester when I walk into that classroom and all of the students turn to look at me as if I'm supposed to know what to do and what's going on, right? So I experience it too, and I think that that's what unites us. Like, yeah, I'm professor, you're student, but ultimately we're all here as a community and we're both feeling it, even though it may come out and may sort of exhibit in different ways, but you're not alone in that. You're not alone, just to echo that sentiment for sure.
We can do one more quick one. Yeah. Yes.
I don't know how much to add to that, but yes, it's something where when we see students who are struggling, that concerns us and we want to help with that. And we might not necessarily come and say, hey, we think you've got an undiagnosed learning disability, but we are going to reach out and say, we see you're struggling. What can we do to help you? Are there resources we can connect you with? Are there things we could be doing differently in class? What can we do to help you? And I would say that applies not just to cases where we think somebody might have a full-fledged learning disability, but anytime we see somebody struggling, we're going to want to try to help with that. And if you're struggling and we don't see it, which is definitely something that can happen, let us know so that we can help you with that, because we don't want to see you go through the whole semester getting increasingly frustrated instead of asking us, because we will do everything we can to try to make that better for you, but you might have to give us a heads up that you're struggling sometimes.
Okay, I see Logan lurking. So he's going to do an announcement about your transition. So I know some of you have a great distance to cover over the next 15 minutes. And so I just want to thank you all for showing up, and thank you to the family members who are here. You know, that's amazing to see family members support systems here. Thank you so much for being here as well. This has been a great orientation day and series of days, and I also want to really acknowledge and affirm the many staff members who have been involved in doing a lot of tireless and passionate organization work. So I'm going to give you guys a round of applause, okay? Thank you so much. Logan?
Thanks, Dr. Hirsch. And can we get another round of applause for these folks? So the next session that we have for you all is Meet Your Major. So you are going to be meeting with some faculty, deans, advisors from your various different colleges and departments, which means some of you are traveling a little bit of distance to get to the buildings that your classes are going to exist in. So we're going to dismiss by group. You're not necessarily going to be following your orientation leader. You'll be following the group based on your college or department. Parents and families, you all are going to be going back over to the Wood Center Ballroom for a panel called Partnering for Student Success, but we're going to go ahead and dismiss the students first. Could I have the orientation leaders come down to the front? Awesome, awesome. So our first group of students is going to be students that have a major in the College of Fisheries and Ocean Sciences. You are going to be following Sierra and Pierce to the O'Neill building. So if you would follow them out now, that's folks whose major falls within the College of Fisheries and Ocean Sciences. Next, we have folks from the College of Natural Science and Mathematics. You all are going to be following Rodolfo to Reichardt. Yes. Folks whose major is in the School of Education, you're going to be following Christina to Greening. Folks in the School of Education, you will be following Christina. Folks whose program are in the Community and Technical College, CTC, you'll be following Cole. Yes. Well, yeah, let's go to CDEF, Wood Center CDEF. That's where you'll go. Yep. The Department of Alaskan Native Studies and Rural Development, Dansard, you will be following Mina and Catherine to the Brooks Building. College of Business and Security Management, you will be following Isaac to the Bunnell Building. Undeclared, students who have undeclared majors, you will be following C and Ashley to Gruning. folks who are in the College of Engineering and Mines, CEM, you will be following Bernard and Lydia to the Usabelli building. And then lastly, folks who are in the College of Liberal Arts will follow Ashlyn and Mickey right out to the Great Hall. Parents and families, you're more than welcome to head on back to the Wood Center, and we'll meet you there.